All right, well, we are live, guys, man. I'm so excited that you've all jumped on with us for this time for Lead E3, where we're just talking to each other about ministry. And so let's start. Andy, why don't you go first and just introduce yourself? And then you guys can just jump in and interrupt each other a little bit. Introduce yourself and what you do.
Great. Well, thanks, Frank, for having us here. It's exciting to hang out with all these great kids ministry minds. My name's Andy Kirk. I'm from Australia. For those watching it all around the world differently, you're trying to pick up the accent. I'm the national director for kids ministry over here within our movement, which is the Australian Christian Churches, and it's just a collective group of churches where I oversee a lot of training throughout our states, and our national conference is Kid Shaper, which happens each year. So we've got just some great churches over here in Australia that partner into this ministry, and a couple of the guys here. So I'll flick over to them. That was a nice transition. That's what I major in. Transitions. Nathan.
You majoring in transitions, Andy, is a very, very big understatement. You are the guru of transitions. I'm Nathan McLean, children's pastor here at Hillsong Church for Australia. So my role is over all the campuses and all the leadership and pastoral side of Hillsong Kids in Australia, and I work hand in hand, quite literally most of the time, with my partner in crime, David Wakely.
Hold my hand, Nathan.
That was another segue.
Yeah,
you're gonna hold my hand there, right there. So I work closely with, there it is, that's beautiful. I work closely with Nathan over here in Australia at Hillsong Church. And my role is working with Nathan closely, but also overseeing Hillsong Kids creative directively, which means overseeing all of our projects and all of the creative side of what Hillsong Kids does, including praise and worship and all the stuff that involves the weekend, leading the whole creative team here at Hillsong Kids, and making sure that we're moving forward, doing great things and connecting with our kids creatively. On to the next segue. I don't know who to throw it to. I should throw it to Alison. Off we go.
Okay, so I'm Allison Evans. Thank you so much, Frank, for letting me be a part of this. I am the Next Gen team leader at LifeChurch.tv. We're based in Edmond, Oklahoma. We currently have 18 locations, going on 22, and it's just amazing to be a part of what it is that God's doing across the globe in kids ministry and in Next Gen ministry in general. So I'm super pumped about these conversations that we're going to be having. Terry?
Hey, I'm Sherry Duffy, and I work at New Spring Church in Anderson, South Carolina. I'm also old and cannot do all these techie things like a lower third on my screen. But anyway, I oversee kids ministry at New Spring and work with, we have 10 campuses that are launching. Our 10th campus launches in a few weeks, and then also help our team who writes our curriculum. So I'm just so honored to be with you guys. You are all so great.
Awesome. And so I'm Frank Beeler. I'm the family pastor at Elevation. I oversee our 10 locations, soon to be 1 million locations. I don't know. It's fun.
That's sequential.
And the curriculum that we create here for kids ministry. And so I tend to lean toward the creative side a lot just because I enjoy it. But week in, week out, I'll be at one of our campuses and we'll be having fun. And so as you can see, we've got amazing leaders here together just to talk. And our goal is to have a conversation that some of you will get to listen into in the future and hopefully learn from and apply in your context. But we're just going to talk through some things. And Andy Kirk, I mean, with a title like National Director, this guy has to have wisdom. And so he's come up with 3 questions that we're going to talk about today. Andy, tell us where those questions came from and introduce the first one.
Okay, well, Frank has done, as these Google Hangouts have been fantastic. I've used Frank and Dave and Nathan have come in to do a whole lot of different training throughout regional Australia, which is great. So to have this level together is just amazing. So I thought I needed 3 amazing questions from probably, from a genius. So I've gone with Matthew McConaughey's Oscars speech. It was inspiring. He mentioned he thanked God, so it must have been Christian. So his questions.
That's a stretch.
His questions were, well, Okay, let's move on. Okay, but he had three good questions, and I thought they were thought-provoking. So I want to ask everyone. I'm gonna say them all, and then we'll focus on the first one. So these are the three questions he said that he challenges himself each day. Who do you look up to? What are you looking forward to? And what are you chasing? And I like those three questions, and I think in the context of ministry, sometimes we can get very ministry focused, and especially the second one. What are you looking forward to personally? But we're going to start with the first one. I'd love to know who inspires you, who has inspired you throughout life, or who do you look up to? Is the question. So I'd love to hear that. Who do you look up to in life, guys? I'm gonna throw it directly at someone. Who do you look up to, David Wakely?
Oh, first up. Oh, that's great. Good questions, Andy. Thanks, Matthew McConaughey.
Yes.
I think it's a good question. I'm thinking about a couple of things in my brain area. I remember growing up in the church. Grew up in a church Christian family, and the people I always looked up to were the ones that I perceived as spiritual. Is the ones that would pray the most, talk the most spiritually, and there's that kind of aura of learnedness or something like that. And over time, as you get old, as we all are now, compared to when I was 12 or 13, you realize that sometimes that the people who seem the most spiritual ends up being on the outside, and then as time displays what's really inside them, you realize that it's not necessarily something that was going on in their heart. It's something that they were kind of showing on the outside. And so for me now, it's you learn to kind of look up to people who just stick with it, who just keep turning up, who just keep doing what they believe God has called them to do. And I love people who have longevity. I really look up to now people who just, obviously, I'm not saying they appear to be less spiritual, but I really look up to the people who have been around doing one thing, or not necessarily, God may call people to do different things, but I do love longevity, and that's why our own pastors, Brian and Bobby Houston here at Hillsong, just been doing the same thing since I was pretty much, they came to Australia when I was born, 1978, and they've just been doing the same thing in Australia since that day. And I love that. That's a real, I guess, a quality that I really love in people, and especially in spiritual leadership and people I look to and admire. So, I mean, there's so many people who fit in that category, but that's really, really what I look for.
That's cool. And I'm going to give a similar answer only because it's real, and that is the person I probably look up to the most, just in all areas, would be Craig Groeschel, and he is the lead pastor at LifeChurch.tv. And the reason why isn't what I love about Craig is that he's always inspiring, and it's because he's got the longevity thing, Dave, like you mentioned. But he also has, like many of our leaders or great leaders in our country or over history, is he is always pushing himself. He's super humble, and he's always pushing himself to grow and to be better. And with every step of that, every time he trips up, every time he learns something new, he then teaches that to other people. He likes to use his personal experiences to help other people grow, potentially not make some of the same mistakes that he's made, and to also continue to develop as leaders, not because he's necessarily competitive or wants to achieve, although those things are important to him, but because he wants to be everything that God has called him to be. He does not want to leave this planet without having maximized the gifts that God has put inside of him. And because of that, he constantly inspires me and the people around us. Although it sounds like the cliched answer to, say my boss, the truth is none of us probably would have stayed in our environments as long as we have had we not had amazing leadership over us. So You know, maybe a little cliched, but it's the truth.
I don't know if this is where you want to take it, but I'm just going to go there anyway. For me, when it comes to who do I look up to, obviously there's our senior pastors, which the first people I wrote down when I was thinking about it. But there's another guy in our church called Darren. That guy behind me, yeah, no, he's a gun volunteer. There's another guy in our church called Darren Kiddo. Now, Darren is, he's the sort of guy, he carries whatever Pastor Brian and Bobby want to see happen. He oversees a lot of our international ministry, our Hillsong TV, and all this kind of stuff. The reason I look up to him so much is because he's faithful with another man's vision to the point where it's become his vision. And for me in ministry, that's key. I don't feel I'm called to plant my own church and be senior pastor of my own church, but what I'm called to do is get the vision of my senior pastor and our lead pastors, Joel and Julia here in Australia, and go, how do I make that not just their vision that I outwork, but how do I make that my own vision? So I love chatting to Darren Kiddo. If I'm stretched to the point where I feel like I'm going to break, I'll have a coffee with Darren and I'll be like, mate, how do you juggle so many balls at the same time? How do you sacrifice? How have you done what you've done and kept a pure heart? Because like you say, Andy, it's not about a title or a position or something you want to attain to, but it's about having the right heart and being who you're called to be. And the ability to carry someone else's vision is huge. When I first became the kids pastor, Julia Bell, who was the children's pastor before Dave and I, she said, Nathan, can you be a kids pastor for the rest of your life? And I sort of fell into kids ministry like many of us do, and I was like, I don't know about that. And I went away and prayed about it, and God's like, if you can't do this for the rest of your life, if you can't see this as what you're called to do for as long as you're called to do it and not be waiting for something else, then it'll always be a stepping stone. So I guess for me, it's when you get involved in something, whether it's another man's vision, put it on your heart, or God did it himself, make it your vision, and that's key to actually living a life that other people look up to.
So Nate, what's the pitfall of building your own thing? Like, what have you seen? Where does that fall apart when you're inside of somebody else's vision, but you're kind of doing your own thing? We've talked a lot about that in the past. I mean, what does that look like? How have you seen that play out? Maybe not specific names, but just the concept itself.
Yeah. Look, the Bible's really clear that where there's unity, God commands a blessing. So for me, if I want to operate under the blessing that God's got for our church, for our leadership, I need to actually operate in line with that. I would be ridiculous if I thought I could go out and start Nathan McLean International Ministries and be successful and go do my own thing. I'm very much know that everything that I've got in terms of what I'm operating out of is the anointing that's on this house, that's on Hillsong Church, that God's put on Brian and Bobby, and they've delegated down to Dave and I with the kids ministry. So for me, there's more success and there's more wins in doing something in line with what your senior pastors are wanting to do. I've had kids pastors on my team that felt frustrated and they were just working so hard, never getting recognition for what they were doing. But when we got down to it, they were doing their own thing at times, not necessarily focusing on what we're focused on as a church. So when I chat with you, Frank, one of the things we talk about is your role as children's pastor is you'll go to different campuses each weekend and you'll check out how things are going. That's not what my senior pastor wants for me. I'm based at our Hills campus, and out of the strength of Hills, I lead all the others, but they don't want me traveling to every different campus, and that's what they want. So I can try and be like you, Frank, and go, that's unbelievable, because I think there's huge value in that. But I've got to be true to what's on our church and what we've been instructed to do in that regard.
Yeah. Man, that's great. Any other comments around this question of either who you look up to or pitfalls of getting sideways in that?
You know, I just want to make sure that as people watch this conversation, hopefully, that they recognize there is nothing wrong with looking up to someone. It's great to have mentors. You know, it's great to have people that you look at and you say, you know, whatever it is that God's done in that person, I want to not emulate that person, but I want to be that connected to God. And I think Nathan said something that was brilliant. When you sat down with the guy for coffee, you asked him not how do you do the things that you do so that you could be just like him, you asked him, how do you think? How do you process information? How do you make decisions? Not what decisions did you make? And I think those are some great questions as we're looking up to someone or choosing a mentor to help us through this journey, particularly for young leaders who are starting out. Man, yes, identify those people that you think in 5 years, 2 years, 10 years, I'd like to be where they are. Make sure that it is your thing. You're operating inside of the vision of the organization that you're a part of. Or if God's calling you to a unique vision that's outside of your organization, then be in step with what God's calling you to. Don't try to live out your vision inside of your current organization. But man, just be diligent to ask the right questions to get you where God wants you to be, as opposed to trying to follow in the footsteps of someone else per se.
Yeah.
And if we've always got this mindset we're waiting for some other opportunity, then we're never going to be faithful with what's in our hand.
Exactly.
Now in church life, I'm doing multiple roles, but that only ever came when I got to that point where I could be a 7-year-old kids pastor and I would be pumped. And now other roles I'm doing, someone the other day said, what do you want to see next? I'm like, I don't see next in position. I see next as in people I can influence, people I can build up, people I can empower to be all they're called to be. And in that, position will grow naturally. Don't focus on the position, focus on the people, and everything else will take care of itself.
That's awesome.
It's funny that there's nothing wrong with the guy that I was looking up to in that vision. In fact, one of them was he's mentored me for, we spoke yesterday. He, up until a month ago, he actually came back on. He started Kids Are Us. He's now served as my state leader. He served me for the last 2 years, and incredible, humble guy. He's incredible, but he is. So for me, absolutely, I agree. There's nothing wrong with having mentors, having people you look up to. I mean, he has navigated me through some difficult times in ministry and in life. So I'm so grateful for him. So I think it's good. I'm a little bit conscious of the time. Also, Frank, I'd love to move on to the next question, if that's okay.
Of course.
The next question is what do you look forward to? And I think sometimes in ministry life, there's probably, I'd love to hear, it's maybe a twofold question, what you're looking forward to in the next season of ministry. I'd love to hear what each of the churches are really, I know Dave's recording at the moment and doing some curriculum things, which is exciting, but I'd also love to hear what you're looking forward to personally, because for people out there, I think sometimes they see us in these ministry roles or see us and hear that. For me, I'm looking forward to July. It's going to be painful, but I'm running my first half marathon, and I've been training for that. It's something just that I've really wanted to do. I know Nate's done a full marathon, and he did it in a ridiculous time because he's just a freak at everything. So what are you looking forward to just in life? It's a good way for me to get to know some of you more, but also the guys watching this to see we're normal people. I'm looking forward to, I said marathon, jeepers. Hope my wife doesn't watch this. I'm looking forward to my third baby being born tomorrow. That's exciting.
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow, yes.
Awesome.
So that's good. Dave, you're looking forward to a child also. I'll jump in there.
2 weeks.
Dave, you.
I got 2 weeks to go though. 2 weeks from this point.
Great. So what are you looking forward to, ministry and personal? What are some things you're looking forward to? Everyone's thinking.
You want me to go? I'll go. I'll talk. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Right now I'm away on retreat with our team that run our campuses. So this next season, we just added 27 staff to our team within the past year. And so we're at 10 campuses and we're growing really fast. So we've got lots of new people. Many of them are our volunteers who have been serving in our ministry, which is great. But just trying to make sure that we get the DNA of our ministry into their hearts so that they can, again, emulate that at their campus. So we've been retreating away, so I've kind of slipped away from them. They've gone to dinner just because I knew that this would be beneficial to me to hear your insight. But I'm really looking forward to seeing how our time together, which is, again, so critical for fun and vision, will hopefully take root in their hearts to, again, hopefully seeing evidences of DNA as they go back out from a retreat. So I know that you guys, value time away with your teams. It's something we have to fight for. But just personally, I'm really excited about the opportunities that we've had together to get away, to talk about vision, to share, our burdens, and to have fun together. So I'm excited about what's to come from our 2 days away together.
That's awesome.
That's great. Everyone's waiting
All right,
to
now I'm
jump in.
talking, so I'm going to jump in there.
Go,
I'm never
Nate.
short of a word.
You, Dave?
Um,
No.
look. For me, I'm really excited about the next season. We've just, like many of you guys, we've just added campuses and things like that. And then we've got Becky Wakely in the city campus there, who's going away on maternity leave. So someone, 2 part-timers taking on her role. We've also got a lot of volunteer pastors coming on. So one thing we've really tried to do is with people that are key and carrying things at the same level as a pastor, we want to make sure that they have the same sort of level of not just title but responsibility and influence. Obviously, sometimes their job profile may change slightly because they're not in the office every single day. But we've got our staff retreat coming up in 2 weeks' time, and on the final day of that, the day after it, we're getting all of our kids pastors from across Hillsong Kids Australia together here in Sydney for one day, and it's probably the first time we've done that for a couple of years, and I'm really excited because there has been lots of changes, even the way Dave and I work in terms of him with creative, me with pastoral and leadership. I'm really pumped to get everyone together and build into them. Got a lot of fresh guys on team, and just being able to see them step up to that next level and be all that they can be. And then with Kids Song this year at Hillsong Conference, I'm pumped because, once again, I'm not heavily involved in everything. We've got the next generation of key leaders stepping up, and I'm excited to see them, run it and smash it better than we ever could.
I'm looking forward to coming because Frank Beal is going to be there. There's something I'm
I'm
looking forward
looking forward to all you guys coming.
to. So,
Nate, what do you mean by volunteer pastors? Just give me a quick description of that role, what that looks like.
It looks exactly the same as a pastor, pretty much, except they are. So we've got one lady, for example. I'll give you some examples. One lady volunteers every day of the week, like a full-time pastor would. She has Mondays off, like I do, and she's in the office Tuesday to Friday and does all services on a weekend. No one in our church knows she's not paid. She doesn't. To me, ministry is not about where you get your paycheck. Ministry is about what you're called to do. So we've now got at the Hills campus, where I'm located, 5 of our age groups. 4 of them are run by volunteers. Some give 1 day a week, some give 2 days a week, some give 4 days a week, but they oversee the team of volunteers, the pastoring of the children, the outworking of the programs and everything in their age group. So they run it at the same capacity as a full-time staff member would, except they just don't get paid. Works for us.
It's awesome.
it's great.
Well, I'm looking forward to Jesus coming back.
Yeah.
I've heard there's some blood moons, and I think it could be soon. But apart from that,
Yeah.
there is. I always look for some of the thing that really fires me up is new things, getting to do new things. So we're pretty quick to, once you've done something around in our culture and our team, the next day we're good. That was in the past. Let's go on to the next thing. So something that fires me up is I'm always looking to see new things coming. I love seeing what's out ahead. There's something I want to do in 3 years' time that I probably won't be able to do for 3 years, but I'm looking forward to with that curriculum and our projects. And it's kind of a dream. It's kind of stirring in my heart a little bit as some kind of new. It's a new thing, as it were, to do with our curriculum and our projects. And that's about 3 years away, and I'm looking forward to that. But the great thing about that is I just think that God is into new things and seeing new things come to pass. And the thing that absolutely blows my mind is the idea that something starts as an idea in your brain, and then in a little while, especially when we're talking about creative stuff, whether it's a staging or a video or music or something like that, it's something. Like if it's a CD, what I love, the two sides of my personality is when you're working with people, you're never finished. When you're leading people, you can't put a stamp on somebody's passport and say, all right, you're spiritually developed, you're done, you're good, we're sorted, I finished your job, or we finished our job. If you're working with somebody, you never look at a staff member and go, all right, finally you've attained nirvana. You are now the fully developed man or woman of God. Now that is not going to happen. But with a project, you can you go, we're done. Here's the CD, we're done. I've moved into the past. And so for me, working, there's both sides of it. The projects give me that sense of completion and that people don't. And people give you that sense of fulfillment that projects don't. Because the project's a project, but seeing someone develop is always the greatest thing. Someone go from where they were to where they are is amazing. And so that's not very specific, but it's kind of how I think.
It's generally specific. You are, Dave. You're very generally specific.
Very generally specific.
I don't know about you guys, and Dave, you kind of hit on this, but it's so often we are blowing and going, all hardcore. We're running hard, and if you guys are anything like me, which I believe all of us are the same way, they call me I'm the grenade girl. I'm always willing to take a grenade and throw it at something and, blow something up. If we were to start this thing today, what would it look like? What would this music look like? What would our curriculum look like? What would our leadership development track look like? And we've thrown a lot of grenades in the last 24 months. And I am really stretched, and I might need some accountability from you guys, but I am really stretched to sit back and just allow God to show me what he's done. I don't know if you guys struggle with that at all, but Dave, I'm like you. It's like, okay, so what's the next project? Because it's always about what's next, and I hate to slow down. And so I'm really stretched to slow down and appreciate what it is that God's done. Take note of what he's done. What did we do right? What did we miss? All of those kinds of things. So I don't know if anybody can get behind me on that, but right now I just look forward to resting in what it is that God's already done. It'll be a short season. I won't be able to stay there long, but
Yeah.
Ellie, that's so great. So I'm right in there with you and feel like I'm still figuring all this out, of course. But this whole idea of go, push, stir it up, throw the grenade. I like that grenade girl. If they call me grenade girl, I'm going to be really upset, though. So we'll have to find a new title for me. But I get that idea. One thing that we did recently that I don't know that I did it intentionally. I think I did it out of necessity, but it's really helped. We're finishing up. We're getting ready to wrap. They're filming tonight and maybe one more time this series that I kind of threw down the gauntlet of we're changing the way we do series. This is really going to push us forward. It's really complicated. Most complicated video shoots we've ever done. Young actors, that's a whole nother nightmare and challenge. And so we're pushing through all that. But then I knew that we were going to, by the time deadlines started to hit, we were going to be bumping up, getting really tight on deadlines toward the end of the series. And so we scheduled the next series. We're just totally ripping off somebody's stuff, using it 100%. And the goal was to recenter and assess what's worked and hasn't worked. And I just saw episode 5 of the series just a few hours ago and realized that it's probably the best piece we've done so far ever in our ministry, which is really exciting. But, in a couple days, we're going to air that, and I have a tendency just to move on. And so because we have that window of taking a month where we're using somebody else's stuff, even though it's okay, it's going to work, it doesn't really fit our vibe. We may have picked the wrong thing, but we'll push through anyway. But during that time, we've scheduled some time to assess what worked, what didn't work, and just to talk about it and watch all the videos again, go through the group curriculum again. And I think it's going to give us a chance to kind of see those stories and talk through some of the wins and things that God did that maybe I didn't hear because I was running too fast or I wasn't on that campus. And so I don't know, because we're getting ready to do that. Literally in a couple of weeks, we're going to try that. And I look forward to it as being something that I think it's good for us to slow down a little bit and forcing ourselves to do so. I may go crazy in the meantime. I may blow it up. We may do a 2-week series, and I may write a 2-week series that we film overnight one night. I don't know. It might change everything. But that was one thing that was helpful. Looking forward to that. I think it's going to be really helpful. And as far as looking forward to stuff, when I moved into family ministry, you guys know I've been doing this just a few years now. I was a campus pastor. Pastor Stephen asked me to switch over to family ministry. And I said, yes, Pastor, whatever you want. And then I had the first and only conversation I've ever had where he was like, no. That wasn't the question. This isn't an all-in question. This is more like, what do you think about being full-time in this role? We haven't had that before. How does that play out? What does that look like? And so we just had a good, healthy conversation about this role. And so when I hit the ground running, just like all of you do all the time. Go, go, go. And I realized that when I landed and I took off running, I left the entire team behind me. Left a wake of just nobody could keep up. Everybody was overwhelmed. I had a million ideas. I was thinking about what we're going to do 10 years from now, and they're trying to figure out what we're doing tomorrow. And I had to really kind of grow up quickly and slow down and go back and invest in them. And I realized the other day that I'm still leading, but they're catching up with the pace. And it gets really exciting for me because that means I can start running faster again. And I've been throttling it back and holding back for so long. So I'm just in a season where I'm excited to start running again at a pace that I'm comfortable with because the team has just stepped up and they've grown and matured over the last couple of years. And so just looking forward to that.
That's great. I think so many like inspiring ministry things that all of you are, all of you are doing. And for me, it's so many, I'm pretty pumped about obviously this year's national conference, a KidShaper conference, but I want to just, even if it's a one-liner, tonight I'm having dinner with my wife and 2 kids as the last time as a family of 4, because we're having a baby tomorrow, and I'm been pumped for about 2 weeks for this dinner. We're going to this steak and ribs place. I just love it. Anyway, that's just me, but I'm excited about this. I find that in the busyness and the hectic nature of ministry, that moment of just wheeling it back and appreciating the smaller things, whether it's family or all these things, or looking forward to a holiday moment or something. As I said, running, that half marathon or something, even if it's a one-liner, all the ministry answers were fantastic. And I guess if I can throw a grenade and back your way, everyone, what's the one thing personally you're looking forward to? I think we've all heard the ministry side of you, but what are you personally looking forward to? Can I throw it that way? Nath? Next Monday, that's your day off. You looking forward to that,
Mate, I don't find it hard to switch off. When I go home, I can hug my kids and mostly forget. My wife and I are both involved in full-time ministry, so we're always flat out. But on Monday, when it's our day off, I'm gone. For me personally, I'm like you, Andy. I love running. I'm back into running, and I've had a lot of injuries last few years from running and bad snowboarding because I'm really, really bad. And actually not even snowboarding, skiing, because I'm not even cool enough to snowboard.
That's the problem right there.
So for me, I'm just excited. Consistent exercise for me zones me out and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm excited because I'm not having any more kids, and because family life I'm starting to manage quite well. My daughter got a credit yesterday at school for the first time, and she's in kindergarten, the first year of school, and the first term was crazy. Like, she didn't cope. Term 2, she's settling in. So for me, I love routine of life. I love the normality of life. So when that starts to pump well, I feel great. The ministry highs and lows, the running and the seasons of that. My wife and I, she's tougher than I am. So if I start to whinge or I start to soften up, she throws a grenade at me. So I don't know, that sort of stuff just comes and goes with us as a family. But for me, I love my family. I love the normality of family life.
That's cool. I get to go to Haiti with my girls. I have a 19-year-old and a 17-year-old, and we're going to go to Haiti for 10 days and just do some ministry alongside another church, it's not part of Life Church, and with some extended family. And it's going to be an amazing time away, just serving and doing that thing as a family. So super pumped about that.
That's awesome.
I'm super pumped about coming to Australia for the first time. That's going to be really exciting. We just booked our plane tickets yesterday, Jessica and I did. So that was just exciting to have that taken care of and to look forward to that. And actually, Pastor Stephen caught me last week because I wanted to make sure he knew what I was doing, obviously, and that I was going. And that had never come up in conversation. And so he caught me yesterday and was just like, hey, just want to let you know that I've been totally brought up to speed. I'm so excited about you going. Like, do more of this. You're doing great. And so it was cool to hear that. And it was also cool for them to say, make sure you stay longer and be really intentional about it and enjoy some time with your wife while you're there. And one thing I want to say, like when I look at you guys, I follow your Instagram and I follow what you're posting on Twitter. And the reality is what I see is that you guys know I didn't grow up in church. You know, I didn't start going to church till I was 18 years old, even though I grew up in the Bible Belt in East Tennessee. One of the things I love is that you guys do a solid job with families. You know, we all have our struggles and trying to figure it out, but you're raising great kids and you care about your spouse and you're doing a good job. And so it's interesting. I talk to young leaders, younger than me, that are going into ministry and they talk about finances and adjusting finances if they've been successful in business, wherever it may be. And then they talk about family and they talk about, can we do this? And how hard is this? And I'm encouraged to be able to say, yes, you can do it. And yeah, it gets complicated. It certainly gets complicated sometimes. But the reality is the leaders that are pushing great ministries forward and doing huge things are able to do this. And so you can do this too. You can have family time and you can go to an awesome basketball game, Allie, that had to be amazing. And how cool, go Thunder. And so you get to create these moments. We have to be really intentional about them, but we can do it. And so, like I said, Australia, that's going to be super fun for me and my wife. We love to travel, but I just wanted to make a note that you guys are amazing in the way you lead families and you keep me on track, even if I'm only seeing the best things and the cool things that you post on Instagram that you took 5 times to get just right.
With a good filter. With a good filter, of course. So.
I threatened my kids before the photo. If you don't smile and look happy, it's going to be on. I tell you what. And they smile.
Yeah, I can't filter a smile in. Just smile. So let's go.
I'm looking
Frank,
forward.
can I chuck in there? To me,
almost
ministry is about your whole family's involved. You know, for Jess and I, it's out where she's in as much as me, whether she was on staff at church or not. It's when one of us is in, the whole family's in. And for what I've seen, you know, over the years, those that really struggle with the church versus family, it's because they make it church versus family rather than ministry is part of what we do in our life. And it's not just a piece of the pie. It's part of the whole pie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's very spiritual, Nathan. Thank you for that.
I like pie.
I was in the spirit of the question. The fun thing that I'm looking forward to, in 15 days, Nintendo is bringing out Mario Kart 8. And myself and my son Brooklyn and my 4-year-old Orlando, who will probably end up beating me, will be playing video games for a few days, I'd imagine.
That's
That's awesome.
Which ties in with family. I'm just very glad I've got 2 boys. You know what I'm saying? I've got a girl on the way, but I don't know if we'll connect over video games as I have with my other children. You know what I'm saying?
You'll connect over tutus and bows in the
Barbie.
hair. I'm really excited for you, Dave.
No, I'm not. I'm not excited. Yeah.
Dave's going to be braiding hair and doing the whole thing. I can.
He's practiced on me a few too many times.
It's funny.
I'm just jealous of all of you because I have 4 boys, so no girls.
That's
For-
exciting.
You're red, yep. So my oldest is 20. My husband is also on staff at New Spring. He sits on the leadership team with our pastor. But the oldest is 20, and our boys, you know, definitely have grown up being aware of church. He's fixing to go over to the UK for a year, partnering with a church called Freedom Church there that's just kind of getting started. They have a huge movement that's going on, and they're launching campuses in countries. And so fixing to kind of let him go is going to be such a joy to my heart. But also, you know, the mama strings are really, you know, there too. But then our second son is 18, and he's, you know, plugged into our student ministry, has a call to ministry on his life as well. So seeing him learning, you know, and stepping into leadership, and again, seeing our kids, which I know that, you know, I'm going to pace a little bit ahead and more like with Allison, but seeing our kids being a part of what we get to do and seeing the benefits of that being a lifestyle so that they want to give their lives to it has been something that, I prayed for. But I mean, I'm ashamed to say I'm kind of surprised by it that our older two are trajecting towards, a calling to ministry. And we still have two at home. So the youngest two are 60. They're all like 14, 16, 18, and 20. So a little stair step boys, but just have been so excited to see, you guys are doing it right. Like when you get to bring your kids alongside of you, sharing the victories that you're seeing in front of your very eyes, it becomes something that I think they aren't amazed by because, it's just our life. Something I was always worried about if they would just grow numb to God moving and saving people. But man, it's just ignited their hearts to be a part of it themselves. And so, but with that means they might go far away. So, but that's, what we ask for, right? So, that's the next season of life for me. I've got little people leaving my house and they're going across the seas. But praise God. It's awesome.
Wow. Wow. It's funny with the baby tomorrow. My youngest is 4, a 6 and a 4-year-old, and my youngest, I actually feel ready to have a child now. I know that sounds funny. It's you have the first two, and in marriage and in ministry, and what we were talking before, I think I'm busier than I've ever been. I'm doing more in ministry than I've ever done before, but family seems settled and better. And my wife and I are in a place you're almost like, okay, I'm ready to have kids now. And you're looking, you've already got 2. I mean, they're functional and they're great, and they're actually beautiful boys. But I just am really pumped about the next season because, I don't think, and those that are watching this, I don't think busyness and those young leaders are, how do I manage this and how do I do this? I think it comes through maturity and how you approach things, and even some of the things we were talking about earlier about, your motivation or your heart or what you're chasing after. You get a bit older, I think you just chill a bit and you see what actually is important. So I think it's good. The last question on here was, what are you chasing? And I think we've probably all covered a little bit in regards to the last question of what we're excited about, a vision or. But I'd love to hear, like just personally, I'd love to hear what some of the bigger picture or longer term goal. Like what are you chasing? Matthew McConaughey. Quoting him yet again in his Oscar speech, it was profound. He said he was, I think it was in the first question, maybe who he looks up to, but he was asked. He said, "I look up to myself in 10 years' time." And the person actually came back in 10 years later and said, "Are you the person that you were looking up to?" He goes, "Not even close. I'm looking up to the 45-year-old version of me." And it's funny, but what are you chasing? Where do you see yourselves in a few years' time? What do you want to do? And I know, Nath, you said, it's not about title or position. But what are you chasing? What are some of the big things?
Right now it is. Okay, Andy? It is now.
Oh, good. You can have the national director. I just made it official online. Well done. What are you chasing, Nath?
Okay, so for me, I carry a few hats in church life. I'm one of our service pastors here at the Hills campus, and kids ministry has been my 100% of my time for the last sort of 10 years in terms of ministry-wise. At the moment, it's probably about 15-20% of my time doing more and more stuff in the big church or whatever you call it, in our normal services. What I'm chasing is the ability to oversee multiple departments, multiple teams, and have them all going forward. To have them all, the ability to do that juggle successfully. That's what I'm chasing. Tonight I've got a meeting, seeing some vision and stuff for our whole new people network of my service, and that when people get saved or brand new in a church, that we are a small church with lots of people, which is what our senior pastor always says. But if we can't do that side of things well, then we're just going to get big, and that won't be good. So for me, I'm chasing doing multiple things well with less stress, but still the same amount of pressure. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
I guess-
chasing two things. I'll be you, Andy. I'm chasing, I guess, two things really quickly. Number one, the hardest person who ever had to lead was myself. And there's literally, leading other people is great, but leading yourself is the hardest person. I've found that throughout my whole life. So I'm looking to lead myself better than I ever have before, pretty much. And in big picture, what I'm chasing after is, in the 1990s, VeggieTales was so big that it was mentioned on The Simpsons twice. Now, the only way you get mentioned on The Simpsons and made fun of is if you're big enough, because enough people need to get the joke, otherwise you don't get parodied. There was a significant cultural impact that program had in that cartoon, right? So what I'm looking for and what I'm chasing after in my world, and this world, is a cultural impact. So it's all very well having an impact in the church, and the thing that I get to do and be a part of, which is Hillsong, does have a certain amount of impact around the world. But on top of that, especially for children, I'm looking for some kind of cultural impact that hits way beyond the church, hits our cultures, our Western culture especially, across the world. So that's what I'm chasing, cultural impact, and also personally just want to lead, like what Matthew McConaughey says, the wisdom of Matthew McConaughey says,
Yeah.
Who am I going to be at the age of 45?
Yes.
That's good. That's good. We just recently released new curriculum for 2-year-olds to 6-year-olds, and it took a long time. There's just a lot of prayer, a lot of buy-in that was required, and it was just amazing how perfect God's timing was, because what was happening concurrently but without any connection for 18 months was the development of the Bible app for kids. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but YouVersion, in partnership with One Hope, created the Bible app for kids. And at some point, those two things intersected, the Bible app for kids and then the Life Church early childhood curriculum intersected. And so what I'm chasing after is continuing to make a connection between what's relevant. So similar to what you're saying, Dave, but I like where you're going even better, that cultural impact. But I want to continue to drive the intersection between what happens at church into where kids are living when they're not here. And so we all know that where they're living, as young as 18 months older, as soon as we can hand them one of these, they're living on the internet. And so, technology or the internet is neither good nor bad. It's neutral. And so it's what we choose to do with it as followers of Christ, and how we choose to leverage that is how we can impact where kids are when they're living out, when they're not at church for an hour or 2 or 3 a week. And so I'm continuing to chase that intersection, continuing to drive that intersection where kids, church, kids, Jesus, engagement in the community can all happen deeper and deeper in the place where kids live, which I believe a lot of that is on the internet, even as early as 2. So anyway, so that's kind of what I'm chasing, and it's been fun because we've got that early step of the connection between our curriculum and the Bible app for kids. There's a real relationship there where kids are engaging with the Bible app for kids every week at church, and then can engage with the curriculum then at home through the Bible app for kids. So just continuing to drive that.
Good.
And can I say, Alison, thank you so much for what you're doing with the Bible app for kids. My 3-year-old is obsessed with it. He does not stop. The other day he was on my phone for an hour, drained the batteries, and he's just constantly his Bible, and it doesn't just stop there. He then goes and this is not because I'm spiritual, this is because of what you guys have done. He'll then go grab his picture Bible, and he's looking through that page by page, and he literally went every single page throughout the entire Bible, but it didn't start with his real Bible. It started with his Bible app for kids, and what you guys are being able to do to create a passion and a hunger and a joy for the Word of God is unbelievable. So thanks heaps from a dad to you.
Oh, thank you. I love those stories, Nathan. I really appreciate that.
That's great. I love it. Hey, I'm chasing the same things. I mean, I love everything that you've all said. Just chasing, wanting to be a better leader. Really wanting to be chasing 1 Corinthians 13, just as my role as a leader, just to really lead with love, especially, at a level where, the people that are doing the ministry aren't always, close beside you. They're kind of further away, the miles separate, and just wanting to make sure that there's that love relationship that's there so that they can, again, carry out the vision of our ministry. And then I guess, definitely I'm chasing after making sure that we're always thinking like kids, and that decisions that we make, we're filtering them through the eyes of what will be the most impactful for kids. Just again, keeping our because so many times I find myself getting into like a personal preference mode, or our teams will start to like filter things through what we think is best, and then we've got individual thoughts. But really chasing how we can get kid focus groups, how we can make sure that we're hitting our target audience, because we definitely have a varying ages to hit. We want to be, our vision is Jesus on their level, so we want to make sure that whatever age that we're teaching, that we're hitting the mark where they are with technology, and that's challenging. And it does help that there's the app that makes it so great. But just really studying kids, but also just being a leader who really leads with love. And so many of the principles in 1 Corinthians 13 are just things I'm chasing after for just the measure of success for me as a leader.
I love the purity of that. Sherry, thanks for sharing that.
Oh, awesome.
That's awesome. If you guys don't know Sherry is an absolute joy. You always leave every phone conversation, every encounter better, excited about life, encouraged about what's next, and it's okay. I can make it awkward. And so encouraged by that.
Awkward.
When it comes
The last time we were. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Dave.
I was just going to say, talking of awkward, the last time Sherry was with us in a men's conference in Australia, I believe myself and Nathan were getting our chests waxed. So there you go. There's awkward.
That's right. That's true. I got to see that at the men's conference. It was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, but Jess was pregnant, Nathan, with your first baby. So I think that was 5 years ago.
Wow.
Just blew my mind. And
Wow, I can't believe that.
It's going to be the best. It's going to be so great. Such a great time.
It's awesome. So for me, as far as chasing, man, you guys gave such great answers. It challenges my answers and what I need to be doing, what I need to be pursuing. I think about 10 years from now, you guys know this. Number one for me is like, I want to be a great dad and a great husband, and I feel a weight for that. And I know I have a lot to learn to do that, but that's way, way up there because I'm the only one that can do that for sure for my family. And so I feel a weight for that. And then I think maybe the other thing is you took a picture. That's wise. Everybody can take pictures.
Do that.
How do I do that?
So over on the left, there's a little camera, and it opens the camera app, and you click use.
Oh, yeah.
You can take
Did I do
pictures.
it?
All kinds of fun.
No, I'm completely distracted.
So this
How do you
happens
do
every
it?
time. Every time
No.
that somebody starts
It's
the camera,
faster
everybody
longer than
Okay.
it's going pear-shaped.
Awesome. So I think the other thing for me is, and once again, I'm challenged by your answers, and I need to reassess my answer. But the answer I was going to say before you all manipulated my thinking and made me feel like I should be thinking bigger was 10 years from now, I do want to be a leader that's worth following. And so I want to be able to lead well into others. And I think part of that goes from just gaining wisdom and insight from people like you and continuing to grow so that I can genuinely help and make things better. And one of the things that you said about your senior leadership and pastors, I love the pirate hat, Andy. It's incredible.
Okay.
I'm just hanging
So
out.
that's with Google Effects. You guys can all do that. I will finish my very serious answer by wearing a Google headband.
I really
yes.
want to hear your answer.
And
Oh, yes.
so I
Boy.
think what it is from a leadership standpoint, what you said about your senior pastors, it's unique that you look up to them because they don't do what you do. And so much time in the world, right, we look for somebody that does what we do better. And of course, I'm doing that with all of you and learning from you. But at the same time, I want to be at a place of leadership that I've gained insight and enough insight that I can speak in a context and help people wherever they're at, and genuinely make our encounters better and help them think better, ask better questions, and just lead better. And so that's something I'm passionately trying to pursue, and I think I'm going to do that by being stretched by not only you guys as friends, and I look forward to 10 years from now, we're sharing stories of things that we've got to do together and the memories that we've created together, but also the people that I get to invest in. And I was encouraged yesterday. I had a young guy in our church, very young guy that's looking. He called me first to tell me he's thinking about applying for a position at the church. And he's not a friend of mine, he's just somebody I know. And it was funny, as I was hanging up the phone, I told him that it was such an honor that he would call me, because he felt like he could get some good advice for his family and direction. And I think that's kind of helped me continue to remember, like, this, I have this big weight to carry, and I want to do a good job with that. And I see all of you doing it so well, and doing it from a place of humility, but also in the giftings, and using what God has done in you and through you. And I just want to be able to model that and embrace that, because then when we're having conversations about, does this shape culture, I can actually add value to that conversation instead of being oblivious because I haven't grown in my leadership, so where I can't talk at that level.
Yeah. I think they're all great answers. For me, in 10 years' time, I want to see the children's ministry, for my role, but within Australia, the level rise. I want to see the same kids pastor at the conference. I want to see them further equipped, better equipped, and I just, I'm so grateful for all of you and for other Google Hangouts and the technology we're able to use now to be able to get resources like this, some of our training videos and things, into regional places where for the last decade it's expensive to travel to try and do leadership training. So to have this sort of stuff accessible now, for the next 10 years, I'm excited to continue developing and allowing leadership to get out broader into the churches, because I hear the things that, I have conversations individually with people, and I just think, man, I want 10, 20, 30, 40 kids pastors around our nation to be able to hear that. So be able to set up forums like this is exciting. I'm excited for 10 years' time in the future where children's ministry may be in Australia, because I turn up to conferences and whatever happened to, he's no longer. And for whatever various reasons, they're no longer in ministry. And that breaks my heart. I want to see the same people around for 10, 15 years. So for what you've invested, even your answers and everything here and throughout all of your other individual churches, the resources you put out, thank you from the kids pastors in regional Queensland or outback Northern Territory, because everywhere I go, they're talking about the Bible app. They're talking about different curriculums. They're inspired. So I think it's awesome. So thanks, guys. You're doing a great job all around Australia. And there's a clap. Good timing.
Way to go, Frank.
Great. So if you do have your Google Box, you're welcome. We always finish our Google Hangouts with some kind of attire or something funny, and so I'm going to wear these shades.
How do you do it?
So it's on the side. It says Google Effects.
Where?
I'm just...
Oh.
Maybe near where the camera is.
Yeah?
Click on that.
I'm going on vacation.
Okay. This is so fun. I want to wear a party hat.
It makes it fun. You can do a party hat. Sherry, you open your camera, so you should be able to see.
I've got them all. I don't know how to select them. I'm looking at the clown. I'm trying to be a clown. I'm not making it happen.
They don't want you to. I'll give you a birthday cake instead.
Do you?
From me to you.
Yeah.
How would you guys feel if I decided in one effort for my leadership and growing in my leadership that I felt like my next step was to wear a monocle? Like,
No.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay.
Could be something special. It could be a new trend that we're setting, something new to follow. All of us walking around with a fake monocle. Could be something special.
So funny.
Pirate princess.
Guys, let's wrap up. I have loved this time. When I emailed you or texted you, I texted many of you, which is just a privilege just to have your number and be able to send a quick text. We definitely want to help others with this, so we'll share it, and I'll send you guys links to it. but also we'll invite you to other conversations that we have. And most of those conversations will be around one theme moving forward. And so we'll either talk about volunteering, or we'll talk about multi-site, or we'll talk about capacity issues, or whatever it may be. And feel free to join when you can. I don't want you to feel like you've got to make everything work or feel the pressure of it, but we do want it to be something that adds value. And I will be sending an email tomorrow just saying, hey, what do we do next time? Who should be invited to the call that maybe I didn't think of, or maybe they couldn't make this one? I mean, Lakewood Church couldn't make it this time. Gabe couldn't make it. There's various people that we reached out to, but that's going to happen every time. And so who are some people that need to be invited to the conversation that we can all learn from and get better? I got to say, Andy,
Yeah.
what you got going right now could be the best outfit.
I worked on this one. I thought it through.
It's disturbing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I love all of you. Thank you so much for taking time and making it a priority to be on tonight. And we'll catch up real soon, okay?
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Peace.